Welcome back, Broncos country. So I didn't make a week 3 video because in all honesty I wasn't sure that I was going to. Week 2, I shot a video, created a new YouTube channel, uploaded the video all just on a whim, and wasn't so sure that I was going to continue to do so. But shout out to my two best friends on the planet, Danielle and Michael, who both not only gave me some fantastic constructive criticism, but have heavily encouraged me over the past 2 weeks to continue to do this and to just do it the way I do it. So I love you both. Shout out to you. We're going to try to make this a little bit more of a condensed video this week. We're going to cover both week 3 and week 4. And God willing, if I feel like we have time, we'll give a little preview as to week 5 upcoming here against the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. So starting with week 3 against the Chargers in LA and SoFi. Great game, heartbreaking loss. It was an overall great weekend for me and my wife. I think I mentioned in the previous video that we're from Southern California. So we were actually at the game. It was my wife's first football game ever. We got to tailgate with some really good friends of ours. So shout out to Tammy and Rob. Love you guys both as well. So we had a good time there. I gotta say this. The fans were fantastic. I feel like it was damn near a 50-50 split there at SoFi between Broncos and Chargers fans, but there was no animosity, like, at all. Everybody's tailgating together, everybody's talking, having good conversations. The Chargers fans were fantastic. It was a really good time. As far as my experience at SoFi goes, which another shout out to my friend Michael, who I mentioned previously, he encouraged me to mention this. I'm not going to go too deep into it because I really can't, because my experience was actually a little bit limited. I'm going to say a positive thing and a negative thing. We'll eat our damn veggies first and have the dessert later. We'll start with the negative, finish on the positive. Main negative thing was being that getting to your seats is difficult there. Now, I will admit that my wife and I were sitting way up at the top. And I did not factor my crippling fear of heights into that when I bought those tickets. Partly because I hadn't stopped to think about how these newer stadiums seem to be constructed. You know, older stadiums seem to be in a little bit more of a bowl shape, so that the altitude is a little bit more gradual. Whereas SoFi, that shit felt like a V. Like you're walking like a fucking 45-degree angle to get to your seats. And if you have a fear of heights, I will just throw that out there for anybody now who does, just as a warning for the future if you're planning on going there. If you have a fear of heights, don't sit up at the top. Don't do it. I didn't even go get a beer at halftime, which is unfortunate because I would love to be able to sit here and tell you about the concession stands and what kind of beer they had and what the food was like. I was terrified of leaving my seat and having to walk down those stairs more than once. So I wasn't real happy with that part of the construction of the stadium, but to end it on a good note, like I said, it's a beautiful stadium. A beautiful stadium. Outside and inside, just absolutely gorgeous place. And if you don't have a fear of heights, those upper rows are a great place to watch the game from. You have a fucking phenomenal bird's eye view from up there. So if heights aren't a problem for you, if you're somebody who likes skydiving or doesn't have a fear of heights, have at it. Great stadium. Fans were fantastic. So we'll leave that at that. As far as the gameplay itself goes, kind of same problems that the Broncos had in the first 2 weeks. The main one being not establishing the run early enough. Or really at all. I can't even say early enough. Really not establishing the run at all. We didn't get that going. And it came back to bite us in the ass. Now, we lost by a last-second field goal. Sure, it was a great game. I was actually watching the Rich Eisen show this morning, and he pointed out a stat that I had not noticed or stopped to consider, which is that the Broncos here through 4 games, 4 weeks, have trailed in the fourth quarter by 0 minutes and 0 seconds. We're 2-2. Both of those losses came off absolute, literal, last-second field goals. We will not rehash that Week 2 bullshit with the leverage call against the Colts. It's in the past. We're moving on. I'm clearly moving on from that. I'm clearly still not mad about that, right? Anyhow, the Chargers are a great fucking team. They're just... I think the AFC West is going to come down to the Chargers and the Broncos this season. I really do. As much as I'm not, any fan of the Chiefs, I'm not trying to put disrespect on their name, but you know what they remind me a little bit of this season is the post-Super Bowl 50 Carolina Panthers. That 2015 season, the Panthers had the best offense in the league, hands down, no argument, without a doubt. They went 15-1. They looked great all postseason. We'll get to Super Bowl 50, and they just got absolutely shellacked. I think Cam Newton probably still has nightmares about not only Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, but TJ Ward, Malik Jackson, just everybody else on that, Super Bowl 50 Broncos defense. They absolutely rivaled the 1985 Bears, although you're really talking an apples and oranges situation there because you're talking a 30-year gap between 85 and 2015, where the game of football was completely different. Back in 85, it was a lot more physical. Running backs did a lot more. Quarterbacks were not going out there and passing for 4,000, 5,000, sometimes yards during an NFL season. It wasn't a thing. It was a more physical game. You were actually allowed to hit the quarterback back then. There weren't as many penalties and rules and regulations. It was a different game. Hard to compare. And while I'm not seeing quite the same drop-off in the Chiefs this season that I did with the Panthers following Super Bowl 50, I feel like I'm getting a similar vibe there. They feel a little bit lost, and they're just not quite the same juggernauts that they were, the past 7 years? 7 years or so? Yeah, I think it's going to come down to the Broncos and Chargers. I think we're the two strongest teams in the AFC West. You know what? I fucking love it. I do. I love it. So, Week 3, heartbreaking loss. Moving on to Week 4. Broncos versus the Bengals on Monday Night Football. I'm not going to sit here and overhype this win. Because let's face it, the Bengals are a god-awful team right now. And in all honesty, I wasn't expecting them to be a great team even with Joe Burrow, who's likely out for the season. Yeah, he might come back in some point in December, but with the way they're playing right now, I don't think that's going to make a difference. So, if they are not in playoff contention, the Bengals would be smarter just to let Burrow continue to heal and rehab and just be ready for next season. It'd be stupid to bring him back in December if you're not a playoff contending team. So we dominated, which we should, and the reason why I feel good about that win, despite the fact that I'm not going to overhype it, is that it shows growth because we should have dominated the Titans in Week 1 the same way that we dominated the Bengals in Week 4. And we did. We got off to a slow start, which is something of a Sean Payton thing. I might be getting some of the numbers a little off here, but if I'm not mistaken, Sean Payton is one of the worst winning head coaches in the month of September, the first month of football. Yet he is one of, if not the best, most winning coach in October. Sean Payton coach teams tend to get off to a slow start. It just seems to be a thing. And while, I know every sportscaster for the past 2 years in the NFL has been talking about this, Bo Nix and Sean Payton seem to be a perfect fit for each other because Bo Nix seems to kind of be the same. He kind of gets off to a slow start. And I think the main reason why Sean Payton teams get off to a slow start is because Sean Payton likes to enter Week 1 like it's Week 14. That dude, he does not ease his teams into it. He doesn't care how young his quarterback is. He doesn't ease anybody into it. That dude comes out, balls to the wall, full fucking force, whole playbook like week one. And just most NFL teams, I don't care how fucking good they are, most NFL teams aren't ready for that week one. You're coming off a training camp where you can't even tackle running backs to the ground. You're coming off of preseason. I would like to, in the future, see Sean Payton ease things in a little bit better, but it's fucking Sean Payton. He's not going to. But I feel like we're now starting to find our identity. So the biggest thing we did here in week 4 against the Bengals was my biggest complaint. In week 3 was not running the ball, and we did it this week. We established the run. We had R.J. Harvey be our first 100-yard running back since Latavius Murray, and it was 21 or 22. The first 100-yard single-game running back in Sean Payton's tenure here. And then R.J. Harvey played great as well. I love not only that Sean Payton stick to the run game, but I like the approach that he took to it. Instead of having Harvey on the field one play, Dobbins on the field the next play, he was playing the guys in series. An entire series out there offensively on the field. You'd see JK Dobbins. If you need a little bit of relief on a third down somewhere, then you might see Tyler Bidet come in. And the same thing went for Harvey, for RJ Harvey. He played them by series, and from what I could tell watching that game, that did both of them tremendous amounts of good. Both of those guys were out there making plays, breaking tackles, playing like you would want to see the run game from the Denver Broncos play. We'll go another positive and negative thing here. We'll go the same way. We'll start with the negative and with the positive as far as the Broncos play goes. That interception that Bo Nix threw in the second quarter right before the 2-minute drill. It's been damn near 48 hours. I'm still kind of pissed about that. I love Bo Nix. I think he's a great quarterback. That was just an ill-advised throw, especially when he had green grass in front of him. Bo Nix could have ran that one in himself. Had a second running touchdown on the game. And he didn't. He wanted to pass it. And honestly, I think some of that is just because that's just kind of the guy that Bo Nix is. You know, he's a guy who's real humble. He always deflects glory aimed towards himself for the most part. And he wants to get the other guys involved. He doesn't want to run for 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. He wants to throw touchdowns and get his receivers touchdowns, get his receivers stats. I think that's where that interception honestly probably came from. If Bo Nix could have run that one in himself, I think he could have extended the ball over the goal line, got it. Was not happy with that decision. Then we came back out on a 2-minute drive, and that's where one of the main positives come in. Oh my God, I have not gotten over that Cortland Sutton touchdown. He went horizontal, straight horizontal, legs parallel with his head, catches the ball one-armed in the crook of his right arm and comes down with it. That was just a beautiful, beautiful play. Love to see it. Was super hyped about that. Overall, we played a great game. Even if we could have had another touchdown or 2 on the board, we dominated a team that we should have dominated, which shows growth from week 1 to week 4. We're at the 14-minute mark here right now in the video, so I'm going to give a very, very brief what I'm hoping and expecting from week 5 here against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is going to be the toughest game of the season for both teams. I really do. And I was actually just a little bit ago texting with a friend of mine who's a big Eagles fan, and he actually said the same thing. And that guy is the king of shit talkers, and even he was saying that he thinks it's going to be the toughest game of the season even for the Eagles. I think the key, so I'll just go with the key to victory, the key the Broncos need to have is making some attempt at stopping Saquon Barkley, and that's my biggest concern. I mentioned it in my first video that no matter how good our defense has been, any year since Super Bowl 50. Our biggest weakness has been stopping running backs. We've had an issue with tight ends as well. But our inside linebackers, we have a great front, we have a great defensive line, we have a great secondary. But our inside linebackers, and even if you want to throw Jaquan McMillan there in the slot, they have a hard time stopping running backs. And that's average running backs. Saquon Barkley is not an average running back. Saquon Barkley is not an average human being. I think that guy's got some sort of fucking alien DNA in him or something. I've been a huge fan of his since he first entered the league. I've had the privilege to have him on my fantasy team a couple of times. Not this year, unfortunately. The guy is just an absolute beast of a human being. And he's a hard man for even the best defensive line in the league to contain. And if he can break past that defensive line, if you have a middle of the field, your inside linebackers, slot corners who can't defend against the run, which we've struggled against, he is going to eat yards all day long. All day long. I'm really not particularly concerned about the Eagles' passing game. We've got Pat Surtain and we've got Riley Moss. I know Riley Moss had a bit of a shaky start to the game, first drive or so on in this previous game, but he's a very good cornerback, and we held probably the best receiving duo in the league with Jamar Chase and Ty Higgins to not jack shit. I honestly don't remember what the total yards was between them, but I think it was under 70 yards between them. Maybe even under 60, but I want to say it was under 70 combined yards between like the highest paid, what I believe at least is the highest paid receiving duo in the NFL. Granted, again, I know Joe Burrow's not thrown to them. Yeah, I know that. I get all that. Okay. Get that. No quarterback on any given day wants to fuck with Pat Surtain. The guy is the reigning defensive player of the year. So if you're not going to fuck with Pat Surtain, now you got to throw to Riley Moss, who has had moments of mishaps, but he's a damn fine cornerback himself. And then we do have McMillan. While he's not great against the run, he's a great pass defender. And we've got the rookie, JK Dobbins coming up. Not to mention that we've got Brandon Jones and Hufanga at safety. And that's, call me biased, I think that's probably the best safety duo in the league. Those guys are incredible. So I think the only way that the Eagles win, especially with any sort of dominance this week, is if they just feed Barkley the ball all day long and hope he doesn't get tired. I think that's their key to victory. I think if we can even just moderate, if Broncos country can even just moderate Saquon Barkley in that run game, I think we got this shit. That defense is nasty. Call me out on this all you want. I think the Broncos offense is either better than, or at least has potential to be better than the Eagles offense. The Eagles in the passing game, aside from AJ Brown, who do they have? Yeah. We've got Sutton. We've got Mims. We've got Troy Franklin. Pat Bryant hasn't done a whole lot so far, but it's really impressed me, and it really did on that Marvin Mims play. If we want to go back to week 4 a little bit, that block was insane on that Marvin Mims touchdown. Pat Bryant coming in, just throwing that block up. That wasn't some shit you see a rookie do every day. That was an insane block, and it's not the only one he's had this season. And then, Trent Sherfield could be a wild card any day. We haven't seen much out of Evan Ingram yet. He was supposed to play the Joker role. We haven't seen much out of him yet. Maybe they're ramping him up for the season. I don't think Adam Troutman, that tight end, gets enough credit for what he does. Troutman's one of the best blockers on the team, and he's also a pretty damn good receiving tight end. I don't think Troutman gets enough respect put on his name. So I think we have the at least potentially better offense. I think we overall have the better defense, but it's going to come down to Saquon Barkley. We got to keep him shut down. I think that's what it's going to come to here for Week 5 versus the Eagles. I'm really excited for it. I hope the rest of you guys are too. And, hopefully come this coming Monday, we're going to have a good video to post about this. So Broncos country, you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll see how our boys do on Sunday. If you happen to enjoy the content of this video, please like and subscribe. It'll help this channel get off the ground, and I will see you guys next week.